Could I see first, please, Priscilla Torres? All right, Ms. Torres, you are charged with the felony offense of tampering with evidence.
Judge, officers were assigned to follow up. Detective Lamont responded to 7835 Grow Lane, apartment number 1206 in Houston, Harris County, Texas, to follow up on a homicide investigation when he was summoned by patrol. This location, Harris County, Texas. Officers initially arrived on scene, flagged down by the defendant and her mother, and the defendant and the mother showed officers, officers could smell a stench coming from the apartment of rotting body decay. They went in to the apartment and found a 5-year-old child who was deceased and wrapped up in blankets in the closet, in the bottom of the closet. Homicide detectives were called to the scene to follow up on what occurred. They spoke to the defendant. They read her Miranda warnings. She was brought in to give a statement. The defendant waived her warnings and spoke to the detectives. She stated a couple of different things. One, she initially told the officers that on Friday, August the 23rd, that she was picked up by Santiago Esperanza in order to bring she and her daughter back to his residence at 7835 Grow Lane, apartment 1206, which is where the body was found, for the night. This is her boyfriend. The defendant initially told detectives that her daughter continued to feel unwell starting on that date and was unable to hold down any solid foods for the next several days. The defendant described the days leading up to the death of her child, which was on Tuesday, August 27th, and noting officers weren't called out till 6 days later. Whereas her daughter, she states that her daughter, the days leading up to her death on the 27th, needed assistance standing up, was unable to hold down any food, all the while being deprived of her asthma machine that had been utilized while staying with the defendant's parents, the grandparents. The defendant was convinced that if she called paramedics about her daughter's illness, that Child Protective Services would get involved and would take her child away from her. The defendant initially stated that she was giving her daughter a bath, and that there was a bottle of toilet bowl cleaner that was within reach of the child. She left the child alone for a few minutes, and she returned. She said there was an empty bottle of the cleaner floating in the bath water next to her daughter. The complainant was already showing signs of her skin and face peeling while she was in the bathtub, she said. She told the homicide detectives, and that she stated that she had a fear of involving the authorities, as CPS would get involved and take her child away. The defendant stated she felt the complainant would recover from her injuries due to her caring for her at home, but that the child ultimately expired on Tuesday, August 27th, 6 days before officers were called to the scene. Upon further questioning of the defendant recanted her initial story and stated that on the first night she came back to Santiago Esperanza's home, her boyfriend again, on Friday, August the 23rd, and that her boyfriend offered to give the complainant, the child, a bath while the defendant made dinner. The defendant stated the door was closed, and upon opening the door, she observed her boyfriend with the daughter, in which she said the daughter was already exhibiting chemical burns to her extremities and also displayed some redness and possible bruising to the complainant's forehead. The defendant states that in concert with her boyfriend, that they decided to put the child in bed that evening without calling for emergency medical services, and she said that she continued to add that she did not seek EMS for the child at this time. The defendant stated that she took her injured child with her to another vacant apartment so that the mother of her boyfriend's child and other children could spend the night with him without seeing the defendant or the injured child. The defendant states that she spent the night on Sunday, August 25th in an empty apartment unit on the premises with her injured child without calling emergency personnel. The defendant continued to add that she was allowed back into her boyfriend's unit the next morning on Monday, August 26th, and that the child ultimately died on the afternoon of Tuesday, August 27th. The defendant stated that she wrapped her daughter up in a blanket and put her in the bedroom closet without calling the authorities, as she did not want to let her go, she said. She told the officers. The defendant neglected her duty in which to support her child with proper medical care, especially in case of extreme injury, and also failed to seek appropriate and immediate care, and also concealed evidence of this homicide charge, which may be filed later, Judge, once the autopsy is concluded on the child.
Ms. Torres, excuse me, there is probable cause to detain you. Would you like to have Ms. Gonzalez help you with your bond?
Ms. Torres scores a 1-1. She has no criminal history, thus no failures to appear, Judge. This is her first arrest. She's 27 years old. She's lived in the Houston area all her life. She currently resides with her parents, where she's been for the past 4 years, same residence. She's been unemployed since she first got pregnant with this child, Judge, and she's been a stay-at-home mom, so she has no income. She does have asthma as well. Judge, she is asking, the bond PSA recommends bond be set at $10,000. We are asking, Judge, that you consider her for a personal bond and set the bond where it is at $10,000.
And what's the state's position for bond, please?
Judge, we have filed a motion for a high bond. We are requesting a $100,000 bond. We would note again that this defendant may be charged with injury to a child, certainly, and perhaps homicide. So we're asking for a $100,000 bond. A DA, David Barr, filed some requests regarding conditions of any bond that's set. So I would like to follow up on his request that the defendant surrender her passport or other documents, that she have no contact with either the child's father, which I can state again for the court, or any member of the Tango Blast Street Gang, which the child's father is known to be a member of, and that she not leave the county without permission as we're pursuing this additional possible homicide charge. And that would be our request, Judge. We are certainly opposed to any PR bond. I'm requesting $100,000 bond.
Ms. Torres, based on the nature of the allegations, I'm setting your bond at $50,000. You'll be seeing the judge in the 351st District Court. When you get to that court, if you're unable to post this bond, you certainly can ask that judge to reduce the bond for you. Would you like to have a court-appointed lawyer, ma'am?
Yes.
And are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes.
As far as conditions go, there's no way I can have her surrender any documents here, so I'm going to leave all that up to the judge in the 351st, because by then you'll probably have a better idea where this case is going to be headed.
Yes, sir. I'll make a note. Thank you, Judge.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Torres. You may have a seat, please.